That was around many moons ago when Lester Donaldson was shot. And I was working with a mentor of mine named Dudley Laws. And we were the ones that were marching and demanding accountability and also civilian overview of police actions. So my experience is vast in terms of the SIU, which we demanded. The NDP government at the time did respond. And it looked good on paper, but in reality, 30 years later, we're struggling with, did they really understand what this is all about? So, with that said, at the table, and this is indicative of the audience, there's not many people here that have had any interaction with the police on the level that we're looking for right now. And that's a sign of the trust and confidence in the process, confidence and trust in the people, and trust and confidence in what will happen. Because what we're discussing today, we've been discussing for the last 30 years. So I'm not sure why we go through this process. It's painful at times to talk about this because we work with the young people on the streets that have had encounters with the police and what has happened after that encounter. And we seldom hear stories that are positive in any way, shape, or form. We do encourage young people to report to the police station, to the SIU, and to the other agencies, but they always ask us, do you really think we would do that, right? Because any interaction with the police or those institutions have been negative and there's been repercussions. In terms of moving forward, I'm going to just put a couple bold recommendations out there, and hopefully the new process, the new people, will treat it with some significance. One of the first recommendations is the timely and accurate release of information regarding investigations. We appreciate confidentiality, we appreciate privacy about information. But when you have a shooting on a streetcar and you have 6 cameras recording it, and it takes the SIU 3 years to come up with a report, that doesn't bode well for the work that they've done. Right? Another recommendation is the collection of data, race, demographics, regions. I come from the corporate world. I'm an operations manager, where we had to do, regular reports, quarterly reports, semi-annual reports, annual reports that were examined by the public. I think we should demand that from the SIU, not those reports where they, what's that word that we use when they black out the stuff? Redact. Oh yeah, the reports where they redact half the information. It doesn't bode well for accountability, transparency, and confidence. It doesn't. Okay. So collect the data. What was investigated? What were the results? So that we can look at the trends, we can look at the challenges, and we can look at the opportunities. We're concerned about the over-policing of certain communities, the intimidation, the trauma, the expense that it takes, the damage that takes place. And that's why we have to hold the police accountable for their actions. Because there are some police officers out there that are doing their job to the best of their ability. There's certain police that are trained to de-escalate, but it seems as though there's certain police that are trained to escalate. And when we collect the data and report clearly what's going on, we can identify the trends and what needs to be done. And that review must not come from the police, it must come from the public, it must come from academics, it must come from professionals. It has to be arm's length. We all know that. Right?
Time. I would like to hear your answer.
Thank you very much. It's not about who is there on the SIU. What we want is people that understands the relationship to the public and who's paying who to do what. Sometimes it seems as though the public is a second thought when the SIU produces their report. Let's just get a report out there so we can satisfy the legislation that we did something. The public has to be the center. Transparency, accountability has to be the center. Principles that guide the way the SIU and these agencies work. One young lady at her table said, why do they exist? If they were not there, would we miss them? And the sad fact is that we would not miss them. We would not. So here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to make a significant difference. I know you've got 18 consultations to do. What you see here is not the audience that you need to speak to if you really want to get information. This audience is important, yes, but please make a deliberate attempt to get into Neptune, to get into Lawrence Heights, to get into Malvern. And even if you have to pay the people to show up, right? Park. You do it.
Regent Park.
We know the communities. They know them too. I'm not going to list them for them. Even if you have to pay them, please consider it, because their information is so invaluable, because they have had encounters with all these agencies. Please, please, please do that.